Tennessee hit the practice field earlier this week, just a few days in, and there's always an asterisk we put on what we take out of spring practice, especially at the start. But what has stood out to you, what you've been looking for, conversations you've been having about Tennessee getting out there on the practice field this week?
Tennessee's really experienced and fairly deep on both sides of the line of scrimmage. They're a little thinner on the offensive side this spring with a couple of guys out, but still kind of like where they're at on both lines of scrimmage. I love kind of the new look receiver room. Feel like that they are a more athletic bunch than they were a year ago. And, I like the kind of new look secondary. Now, you don't know what you have yet, but, as far as like just the physical makeup, I like what Jacoby Thomas brings, the MTSU transfer. I love what Jermon McCoy brings. And, I just feel like it's kind of the new blood in the secondary is probably a good thing.
Receiver room. I've counted 9 dudes, man. 9 guys that should feel like they have opportunity to play and get some snaps. You got a couple freshmen. One's All-American coming in as a 5-star. We saw a freshman receiver last year not play. I don't see that happening again. How do you make 9 players fit 3 spots? How's that going to work out?
Well, I don't know if 9 will be in the rotation, but I do think that the rotation will be the biggest it's been since Josh Heupel has been here. And it definitely feels like that they're just a lot more athletic at receiver heading into 2024 than they were at any point in 2023, even when they were healthy. At the end of the year, I felt like they were, void of, a lot of real speed in the secondary or in the wide receiver. I'm interested to see what Dante Thornton can do, because before he got injured, when they finally moved him outside and didn't have him running slot 2, it looked like he started to play a lot more free, a lot more confident, and obviously made the biggest catch of the year for him, at Missouri, and got hurt on that play, but just carries himself with a little more confidence right now, knowing he's an outside guy versus an inside guy. I'm interested to see, can he have that Jalen Hyatt jump? And I don't mean win the Blitnikoff Award, but what I mean is like kind of go from nowhere to somewhere in year 2. Remember, Jalen Hyatt didn't do a whole lot Hyatt's first year, and then boom, year 2 was obviously fantastic. So, what can he do? Brew, Chris Brazel, obviously Squirrel. Everybody's going to talk about Mike Matthews, but, I love what Braylon Staley is doing. That kid just seems so smooth. And so they are a deep unit. And I know Kelsey Pope is really excited heading into spring and really, likely heading into the 2024 season.
Yeah, Braylon Staley, a little bit more about him as Matthews probably gets more attention. There's the excitement about Brazel coming in as a transfer. I would say all that attention and talk is deserved, but that's led to less talk about Braylon Staley. Why do you like him? Why are you high on the other freshman that's on campus working there in spring practice as well?
Well, just in talking to people that have watched him, do throw sessions, going back to the December practices, even the first couple of practices, this week. I mean, he just is always making plays. He's physical enough. He's shifty and quick. He's smooth, getting in and out of his breaks. Catches the ball well, and I just think Brent Hubb said it. He may be the steal of the class. And let's face it, if he's that good, and this is 2 that Tennessee's kind of gotten out of the state of South Carolina in about a 5-year span, that just kind of chaps the Gamecocks. I mean, it would be interesting to watch. But I mean, Tennessee is. I think they've got a pretty good one in Braylon Staley, who I think will only get better and better over time. So, again, I just think they have a deep unit. I don't think if they have an injury or so this year, it will be near the panic button maybe that it was last year when I felt like Tennessee was really thin and less athletic at the receiver spot.
Austin Price, Volquest.com. From a recruiting standpoint, this is a time where prospects get a chance to come on campus and see the coaching style from the coaches that have been talking to them on the phone. what visitors can we expect here in Rocky Top in the next couple of days, a week or so? What have you heard about who's coming in?
Well, there's a chance Douglas Utu, big offensive tackle from Vegas, could be here this weekend. You look at the guys that were here this past weekend, and Jamie French stands out, the 5-star wide receiver from down in Florida. Had a really, really good visit. George McIntyre came in, and that one was obviously a big deal. To get him around, French, and French will be back for an official visit this summer. Rodarius Jackson will be here this weekend. Just got several key players coming in this weekend, and really over the next couple of weeks as Tennessee kind of gets spring practice revved up. They'll have the coaches clinic Friday, Saturday, a lot of recruits in on Saturday, and you feel like Tennessee is in a solid spot for several of these guys. But again, it's all about finding a way to get them in the boat. Like, I thought Tennessee made a real move for DeJuan Morris, the in-state running back from Murfreesboro, Oakland. He's kind of a gadget guy. I mean, he's 5'10", about 190, 195 pounds, but with the ball in his hands, a lot like Boo Carter, explosive, special, just a playmaker. So, that's all, what Tennessee's trying to get done right now is get, surround George McIntyre with really quality offensive linemen like Douglas Utu or, David Sanders, Jalen Matthews, and then really quality skill guys, whether it be the running backs, Shakai Mills-Knight at Baylor, or receivers like Rodarius Jackson, Cam Sparks, and then obviously any of those, guys that are perceived national guys like Jamie French and Caleb Cunningham.
Is there a guy that you feel like will benefit a lot this spring because maybe a potential starter at that same position is not going to be out there participating during the spring because maybe injury or they're trying to make sure that a player's not putting himself at risk, maybe some maintenance? Who can make a biggest jump this spring while maybe the starter is out?
Well, I would tell you Bison Lang needs to have a really good spring. I'm not sure how much Cooper Mays is going to do because they don't need Cooper to do a whole lot. I mean, what Cooper brings, and they need to figure out who their number 2 center is. A year ago, it kind of bit them when Cooper was out early in the year, and they had to turn to Ollie Lane. And Ollie had a really solid year before he moved back to guard when Cooper got back. But Ollie, at the 1st of August, had no clue he was going to be moving to center. And, he did a nice job there. I think right now, if the season was happening and Cooper went out, I think Dane Davis would be the Ollie Lane guy that slides inside. But they really would love to see Bison Lang kind of take that and run with it. Because I do think that Dane Davis is your ultimate swing guy this year. Oh, I need a guard, Dane Davis is your guy. Oh, I need a tackle, Dane Davis is your guy. I think he's going to kind of be the Swiss Army knife for the offensive line. So I think it's Bison Lang.
Any early talk about Boo Carter? A name I think you mentioned a moment ago, but one of the most exciting players in terms of his potential versatility for what he can do in different groups in this class.
Yeah, I mean, Boo is a guy who, carries himself with the ultimate confidence and swagger and, belief. And you talk to the coaches, they are talking differently about Boo Carter than they do most freshmen. You talk to the players, same thing. There's just a different feel with him, Josh, and it feels like, and freshmen don't play a lot early in the back end, but it feels like if there's going to be one, he's a guy that fits the bill for it. Now, I said this in our podcast we taped earlier today for tomorrow. If I am Jordan Thomas and Boo Carter's breathing down my neck, you have no wiggle room. You better stay healthy, which is something Jordan Thomas has failed to do the last few years. Because I can promise you, if Boo gets on the field, Boo's not coming off the field. You'll get Wally pipped in a hurry. Because I really think that once Boo Carter gets his shot, then there'll be no going back with him going back to the bench. I think he'll make a name for himself in the lineup.
When Boo goes on the field and he's not coming off and he's making plays, will we hear the crowd say, boo, like they do Brew? Or you think we're going to stay away from that?
Well, I think it's a little easier to do when it's an offensive guy.
Okay.
Because he catches the ball. But I do think, if Boo makes an interception or Boo makes a big hit, and it's just Boo, Boo's on an island. It's not a gang tackle. I think there's the potential there. Either that or they could just be booing a Tennessee sideline reporter down on the sideline. Not
Probably.
Sure.
Probably. That's going to be confusing for the analysts on TV when Tennessee makes a play and the crowd's booing. That's going to be weird. But he's going to be a playmaker, so I wouldn't be surprised if people start chanting his name.
It's a big year with expectations for players returning, players coming in like Boo Carter, and the sideline reporters, Austin Price. Everybody has to step up their game in 2024.
Exactly.
1% better.
Media, too. What's going on at Volquest in a busy time right now for people to check out?
Oh, just a lot of recruiting coverage. Obviously, Rob and Grant have the basketball side of things covered from Charlotte, and Eric Kane is doing a nice job with the Tennessee baseball team, who picked up another one last night as they got back in the win column, getting ready for Ole Miss this coming weekend. And we'll have continued spring practice coverage, which Tennessee will hit the practice field again tomorrow. Tomorrow and Saturday will be the next 2 days they hit the practice field for this week. So a little bit of everything. It's kind of a crossover season over at VolQuest.com.
What do you think the penalty is going to be when these guys start hitting the pads and they do 1-versus-1s and someone gets close to Nico and breathes on him too hard? What's going to be the penalty, AP?
Up, downs, laps around the outside of the field. I mean,
don't breathe on Nico.
Listen, everybody goes, well, they're going to try to add a quarterback after spring. I mean, yeah, in a perfect world, sure. But, I mean, like, very few people want to come here when they know they don't have any chance to be the guy. And and then I get the rebuttal on VolQuest all the time. Well, I mean, look at this school and that school. Yeah, but none of them have a guy that's they have Nico strikes fear in the eyes of a lot of quarterbacks. Like they know that this guy is better, more talented, not gonna relinquish the position. So whereas they might see another school who's got a high end guy, but they're like, yeah, that guy's not that good. I mean, plus players talk. They know who is a dude and who is not.
Yep.
Tennessee did this before. You go back to the mid-'90s. It was Jeremy Bates that was the backup, who was not some household name. So one Peyton Manning. It's not like that you have to have 3 guys in your room. Obviously, Tennessee cannot afford for anything to happen to Nico, but I just think it kind of is what it is. Like you got to hope Merklinger picks it up fast, and Gaston Moore continues to be a very serviceable backup.
Austin Price, VolQuest.com. Follow his coverage, his teammates' coverage as well. Football, basketball, baseball underway. At Austin Price, list to follow him on Twitter. Austin, thanks for the time as always. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good, guys. Appreciate you.